2020 is chugging along at a rather slow pace right now, so to keep our spirits up, it's time to focus on the good that's coming our way this year. There are buckets of games being released, and we don't blame you if you've overlooked a handful of them, or might have even not realised that quite a few of the big dogs have 2020 release dates already. This list runs down games we can look forward to coming out in 2020, barring any delays, but you'll notice titles like Diablo 4, Baldur's Gate 3 and Elden Ring, among others, are absent, because although their release date hasn't been confirmed yet, it still seems like a bit of a stretch to say they'll come out in 2020. Anyway, here's 17 games to look forward to in 2020. Assassin's Creed is returning in 2020 with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Eivor the Viking is journeying from Norway to England to do the usual Viking fare of pillaging and raiding coastal settlements, but we'll see the softer side of the Norse folk too. On England's green and pleasant land, you'll establish and upgrade your own settlement, while taking on Alfred the Great, who's not quite King of England but instead rules Wessex, one of the smaller kingdoms that made up the country when Eivor appears on its shores. After leaning hard into the RPG aspect of Assassin's Creed Odyssey in 2018, it looks like Valhalla is adopting the same method, as you can play either a male or female Eivor, with an even bigger map that spans the whole of England and some parts of Norway too. So, if you thought Odyssey took an age to platinum, you just wait till Valhalla sails around. Boyfriend Dungeon is a game that merges dating sims with dungeon crawlers, and it looks like it works pretty damn well. In this particular world, some beings have the ability to transform into weapons, and hey, if they take a shine to you, it's time to date them, exploring dungeons together while, of course, using them to take down all manner of foes. You level up by building relationships with your weapons and taking them out and about. So, if you've always felt like weapons deserve more love than just sharpening them every now and again, keep an eye on Boyfriend Dungeon. You've probably heard a ton about The Last of Us Part 2 by now, but I'm going to recap what this mammoth title is about anyway. Set 5 years after The Last of Us, it follows Ellie after her community of survivors is ravaged by violence. Hellbent on revenge, she fights through a post-apocalyptic America, having to outmaneuver both the zombie-like clickers and humans who have taken desperate routes to survive in the world as they now know it. Any survival horror fans should find The Last of Us Part 2 is their perfect cup of tea, or whatever they drink after the world has gone to hell. Being a ferryman to the deceased might sound rather morbid, but Spiritfarer isn't about that dismal stuff. In this hauntingly poignant indie game, you play Stella, the aforementioned ferryman, as you deliver spirits to the afterlife. Along the way, they're housed in your ferry, which you upgrade along the way as well as use it to farm, craft, cook, fish, harvest and mine to provide for yourself, your passengers and your cat Daffodil. Mixing platforming with simulation, Spiritfarer is going to make us all ugly cry, and I can't wait for it. Cyberpunk 2077 is about as cyberpunk as anything gets. As the mercenary Outlaw V, you're hunting an implant that can grant the user immortality, and your journey to find it is going to turn you into a legend in Night City. Metropolis doesn't even begin to describe what Night City is like, as it's more of a megalopolis, crammed with all manner of gangs and corporations who are going to be at your throat as you inevitably tread on their robotic toes. CD Projekt Red's game is following in the footsteps of the open-world RPG The Witcher 3, and if the glimpses of its world are anything to go by, Cyberpunk 2077 is going to suck us in, chew us up, and spit us out. Because one whimsical yet creepy setting isn't enough, Little Nightmares 2 returns to our screens in 2020, but it's the screens in the game that you should stay far, far away from. Playing as Mono with the help of Six, the world you find yourself in is enthralled by the eerie signal tower, which captivates people through TV screens. Uncovering what makes the signal tower tick is your goal, but 6 also needs your help to survive before she succumbs to a dark fate. And in case that wasn't enough to go by, Little Nightmares 2 is going to be just as twisted as the first game. It's the 13th century and the Mongol Empire is invading feudal Japan. Samurai Jin Sakai is one of the few of his clan to survive the invasion, and now it's time to do what he can to repel the Mongol Empire while protecting his countrymen. Yet, although he's a trained and respected samurai, the path he's grown up with isn't going to work against his enemies. So it's time to abandon the samurai traditions to create a new technique and become the Ghost. In this open-world action-adventure game, you'll use stealth, your bow, and of course the legendary katana to take down enemies. But prepare for other characters to respond none too kindly to this departure from the samurai tradition. MINEKO'S night market is inspired by games like Animal Crossing, which should give you enough of a clue about what cuteness it entails. Mineko has recently arrived on a superstitious Japanese island, with sightings of the sun cat/god Abe being reported among the locals. Luckily, as you're a curious young gal with a fondness for cats, you're the perfect person to investigate these sightings and discover what secrets lie in your new hometown. Exploring and crafting are a particular focus for Mineko's night market, with more attention paid to story than Animal Crossing and a bucket load of minigames. So, if you're looking for a new adventure to keep you entertained and don't mind a few dozen cats on every screen, keep an eye out for the perfectly adorable Mineko's night market. Now, we don't know much at all about Halo Infinite, but it is appearing on consoles and PCs in holiday 2020. Continuing the Halo 5 Guardians storyline, we'll get to step into Master Chief's big green boots once more, and explore and shoot our way through an entirely new world that's powered by the Slip Space engine. Honestly, that's all the information we have about Halo Infinite currently. Fingers crossed some new details will be released soon, because there's only so long we can stare at these screenshots. Watch Dogs Legion is an interesting one and a wild detour from traditional open-world games. Because in Watch Dogs Legion you can play as anyone, adding any character to your crew to take down the increasingly authoritarian government of a near-future UK. Recruiting characters depends on whether they've had a positive relationship with the returning hacker group DedSec. So, if you accidentally, or deliberately if you're that kind of player, kill a member of their family, they won't want to join up with you. Save them though, and they'll be yours. But there's always the risk that they'll die in action, leaving you to play another character. With its lack of protagonist, Watch Dogs Legion is going to be a game like no other. Find your way to the woods in Way to the Woods, a game that follows two deer as they navigate a world devoid of humans. And, if you ask me, Way to the Woods already looks like one of the most beautiful games to come out this year. After hitting viral fame a couple of years ago, it's now set for a 2020 release, so you can butt vending machines with those antlers fairly soon. Answers about what happened are scattered throughout your journey, and you'll have to seek food and shelter to last long enough to make it to the woods. Suck it, with it being blood, in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, the sequel to the urban gothic 2004 RPG. In Seattle, you're going about your business before unexpectedly being turned into a vampire in an event called the Mass Embrace. And now you've got to figure out why it all went down, right when the tensions between Seattle's vampire clans are at an all-time high. Join a full-blooded vampire clan, manipulate the blood in people's bodies to create devastating attacks, or bewitch humans to get what you want. As in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, you are not the good guy. Embrace it. Totem Teller is visually stunning. This indie has you guide a wandering muse in search of hidden folklore, with the glitchy surroundings ripe for investigation as you uncover secret locations and tales. It's up to you whether you preserve the stories you find or let them be forgotten, which is quite the responsibility. The distorted, almost woven-like aesthetic of Totem Teller sets it apart from other games coming out in 2020, which will make it hard to miss when it finally releases. Part Overwatch, part CSGO, Valorant is fast, fast, fast. The Twitch sensation is a 5 vs 5 FPS where you have the same hero abilities as games like Overwatch, with incredibly fast-paced action. A game can be over in a matter of minutes as one team attempts to plant and detonate a bomb, while the opposing team tries to prevent and slash or defuse said bomb. Matches are so quick that you do 12 rounds before switching sides, and the team that wins the most out of 24 matches is declared the winner. It's in beta access right now and will be fully released later this year. 12 minutes is claustrophobic thriller fuel at its best. In the space of that 12 minutes, your home is broken into by the police. They accuse your wife of murder and beat you to death. But it's not over. You find yourself right back where it started, and you have 12 minutes to unravel just what's going on and change what happens. This might be a difficult game to play for some, as by the looks of it, it doesn't shy away from some serious themes. You might want to steel yourself against seeing your character being beaten to death multiple times. Just a warning. Tell Me Why is Dontnod's newest narrative adventure game, and deals with those childhood memories that stay locked up until you return back home. Centred around twins Allison and Tyler, it's the first game to have a transgender protagonist, as it follows Tyler, who has transitioned to male since his childhood, as he comes to terms with his childhood, and how the twins' mother reacted to everything that happened. Dontnod worked with GLAD to make sure Tyler is an authentic representation of the trans experience, so when Tell Me Why comes out later this year, it should be top of your proud rainbow-coloured list. Godfall is a looter slasher, meaning instead of shooting your way through foes to access better and better loot, you slash, as a knight. Specifically, as one of the Knights of the Knight's Order, a regiment meant to stop an apocalypse. By equipping different valor plates for each class, a fancy word for armor sets, you can change your character's build to decimate the high fantasy foes around you. Supporting both single-player and 3-person co-op, Godfall is going to be on PS5 as well as current-gen consoles when it releases in late 2020. So if you've always felt the need to slay in 5 different realms while wearing over-the-top armour, it could be the game for you. Of course, there are loads more games that we hope are going to come out in 2020, like Witchbrook, Hollow Knight Silksong, Ooblets and Scorn, but until they get a confirmed window, their release date is anyone's guess. If you liked the video, why not chuck it a like and hit subscribe to see more videos about all the games in this list, as well as much, much more. We come out with a new video every single day, so there's always something to watch. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go free up some space on my consoles in preparation for these games, so I'll see you next time.